Alright, you guys, I'm gonna give y'all my personal tips for how to survive and really how to survive in this game and make it really easy on you. So, one of the most important things I always do in most games like this is you learn the map. Okay, you explore the entire region as early as you can, and that way you abuse the fast travel, so you don't have to actually walk anywhere. Okay. Next thing is very important is anything that you see glowing on the ground while walking the open field, pick it up. Okay, especially the wood, the metal, stuff like that. Any of those is very important to your survival, if not the most important thing, because the how this game is works is you have to upgrade your camps and wood boards, sheet metal, and then random other stuff uh, you're gonna need. So you're gonna need as much of that material as you can get your hands on. So farm it endlessly. Okay, if you're not doing anything, you just walk around grabbing stuff. If you are doing something, you walk around grabbing stuff. Okay, very important. Also, because you have actually seen the map, you can teleport to certain areas that have certain equipment and stuff that you may need. For example, there's a house that's near the fast travel point that usually has food. Okay, and now the good thing that this house has outside of food is right near the train yard where you can collect coal. Okay, so this the food respawns every time you leave the world. So every time you go on a mission, you come back, that stuff resets. So take the opportunity to actually grab the resources while it's there, so it stacks up over time. I know you may not need it, but it's glad to have it because at some point you're going to need it. And that's another thing. Food in this game, outside of hunting animals, canned food is like your best friend. So coming here in this little spot gives you a decent amount of canned food that gets you through a day's worth of playing without too much effort. You do not do enough of this in one playthrough of a day, you have enough food to survive you for a week of playthrough. Okay. And because it's so close to the fast travel point, it's not like you're going out your way to do so. Okay. Another thing, you have to be careful as you level up your camp level or your personal level. I don't know which one exactly it affects, but I'm assuming it be your camp level because it affects everything else. As you level up your camp level, more unique zombies start spawning in. So before you get too far, I would say at least level 10, use the opportunity before you move on past level 10 to have seen the entire zone so you can go to your fast travel spots, okay, and have collect a lot of resources you can, because after level 10, at nighttime and sometimes during the day, there's some zombies that are spawned that'll come straight for you. And the last thing you want to do is be caught out having too much cereal, or you don't have enough food or something, you're trying to grab something and then they attack you. So it's best to be in your base when this time happens. While speaking about your base, it's good in the game to move your base as soon as possible. I know the game may start you here, and your first instinct is just to make a camp here, but I would tell you not to do that. You can make your little bunker, but don't just sit camp here because you have to eventually at one point defend your base. And the last thing you need to do is make your base harder to defend. That's why I would personally recommend going to this base that I have, which is over here. You can teleport to here. There's a small area that's very easy defensible, that there's only two ways in, which is the big building that you see and this little side path. They can't get through the big building because there's traps, and the side entrance there's traps. There's no other way into this base. The only thing that you do have to be careful is until you build every building somewhere around this area, zombies can spawn in a certain area around your base. So do be mindful, especially where the starting zone is, because you may spawn a base. Depending on where your base is at, a zombie may spawn, and because you might go up to the base to activate it, the zombie will start walking over and attack your base. And if you're not there to take care of your base, you can lose your base. So make sure you get early in the game and quarantine your base. All the stuff you should try to do is before you get to level 10. After you get to level 10, if you haven't, you're going to be in a world of trouble, because now you got to spend even more resources to make a bigger and stronger defense, which you really don't have to. Okay. So, going also into your base, you have to upgrade your base. Every time you raise your camp level, you can raise each of your bases. I will personally tell you to focus on upgrading your armory and your accessory, which is your gear, your armor base. Okay, you have armory with crafted weapons, and you get accessories that craft your gear, like your helmet and stuff. Next would be your kitchen. I want to get your kitchen up enough so you can make sauteed beef with peas, and one of my favorites is white tea. Once you get enough that you can create this stuff, you don't really have to level up your kitchen unless that's something you just want to do. Because 90% of the time, I don't use anything outside of just those materials. I use white tea because it instantly fills your thirst up, and that's would be a good way to avoid having thirst problems throughout the game. And then I usually go with the saute with peas or the rabbit because it's easy to grab and you can just use that as come be. So the 2 ways you can knock out your hunger and thirst problems early in the game without, having to put too much resources in. Okay, you do have other type of bases that they have in the game, like you have the Chem Lab, which allows you to craft different healing potions and stuff like that, or buffs to your character. I personally don't use this because 90% of the stuff that you see here, you can either craft on your own or you can go do a mission and grab. So better to save your resources, use it for something else, than just to use it on something that you can kind of get for free. You also have what is called the Foundry, which allows you to craft different metals and stuff like that. Most of this stuff you do have to get into just a little bit because depending on how early you are into the game, some of the materials you cannot find on the ground yet, so the next best thing is to craft it yourself. Okay, so the Foundry will be there to help you because it's mostly used for your gear or some of your weapons. So outside of that, I really don't use the Foundry, but Foundry is also used to craft your bullets for your guns. So that's important too. So if you're a gun user, then the Foundry will be another thing you can level up. I personally don't use guns. I use bow and arrows because they're cheaper and they're cost effective. Meaning once I make so many arrows, I can pretty much run through most of this a few hours worth of gameplay without having to craft any more arrows. Okay, and because of this arrows, I don't have to worry about. I can always pick up my arrows from the zombies when I kill them, without even having to worry about. But if you have a gun, once you fire that bullet, whether you hit the zombie or you miss him, you lose it. So I technically wouldn't recommend, but if that's something that you want to do, by all means. As far as your actual base defense is concerned, these spinning traps are really good. The only bad thing about these spinning traps is as they spin to attack different zombies and stuff like that, they can attack you, and you have to be careful of that. So you don't want to get killed by your own trap. So keep an eye out when that happens. Like I say, pick up everything that you see. If it glows, you pick it up, whether you need it or not. Okay. Also, another thing you should abuse in the games that isn't as obvious, especially if you're playing multiplayer. One of the things you can do is use this bunker or the chest at the beginning of the game. That way, you don't have to build chests that's outside. And you keep most of your valuable equipment here, and it does transfer over through multiplayer sessions. So anything you have in this chest, when you go into another multiplayer session, it will be there. So that way you don't have to keep going back into your base to grab materials. It's just right here for all your characters can use. So I personally have used this. Like I have what my base needs, and then I have what I personally need. Okay, that way I'm not taking stuff from my group. This is what I have. The only thing bad about this, with the zone that you're in, if you were to just go to one of the buildings, go to craft, if you don't have it on you, it will take it out of your stash. So make sure you come here before you just decide to do some upgrading. And this is what I mean by the free loot that the game gives you. You just walk in, free loot on the ground. You don't get penalized for this, and it keeps spawning in as you play. I tend to do this a lot. Like you get a free bottle of water. You pick up a bottle of water, you pick up that white flower on the ground, boom, you cured your thirst for a couple of hours without no problem. Outside of that, as far as missions are concerned, missions are kind of random in this game, as in different times you come into a mission, they have different levels for say mission. The mission will automatically scale to your level. Although you can downgrade it to the level requirement. For example, this is level 7, so you can lower the mission all the way down to level 7 if you want. But the most important thing is these missions are repeatable, and they give you a decent amount of XP depending on what you're doing, and the material or the mission reward. For example, this is 5 sheets of metal and plastic clamp. This is something very important that you need pretty early in the game. So do these missions as often as you can. This mission has to usually go up in and kill some deers, and once the deers are done, that's it. I don't have to loot the area if I don't want to. So early in the game, sheets of steel and plastic clamps are very important. So running this a few times, especially if you have friends, because when you do a mission with friends, everybody get the mission reward. So if I did it by myself, I get 5 sheets of 3 clamps. But if my team runs it, we team of 3, we get 15 if everybody put the stuff together. Okay, and that's just free stuff. Okay, plus some missions do give you let's see, it's like the whiff of gunpowder. Even though it says only 10 box of nails, if you actually get to the mission itself, some missions have collectibles that you need to grab, which will be gunpowder, lead pellets, and aluminum too. Those are what you need to craft bullets with, and those are mission objectives. So it will kind of show you on the map where these are, and that's free materials from that way too. Okay, and you just run this mission, grab stuff, and leave, and that's free materials back to your base. Plus, you get experience. Experience is used to upgrade your character, upgrade your camp, and upgrade your skill points. As of the moment, I don't know the difference for character level. Doesn't make an overall difference. But when you can, make sure you up to your character level. Outside of that, you do have your special perks that you need to upgrade for your character. There's different levels for each. For example, this says Last Stand 2, so there's you do have to level it up to at least this point. And for example, Crossbow Expert, I have to level this up. It takes 20,000 experience to level this up right now. And until you max it out, so for example, I put this 1 point in, it does not count to, it does not upgrade my character. It's only when I get the full bar max out does it count towards my character. So save your points until you can fully upgrade. Okay, because you don't want to put the points in for no reason and you just waste points. Okay, like for example, I could put points in these two, but it won't make an overall difference. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna just save my points for something else. Okay, it's very hard to die in this game, in my opinion, unless you was caught slacking. Okay, as long as you keep a mindset of what's going on around you, that's important. Another little tip, I guess, to help you with your inventory, because you do have bags inventory, that's very important. Everything that's considered the last bar is other is considered, I would consider, like upgrade materials. You just go to your base or your chest, and you go to the page other, and there's a little tab that says deposit everything. Okay, that clears out everything that's in the inventory, which is a click of a button, which is really easy to get rid of stuff that you don't need. Just do be in mindset, if you were playing on somebody else's server and you was, trying to keep stuff for yourself, you don't want to give everything. You have to individually go back and take out stuff that you want. But because I don't mind giving to my group, because I started a group with them, I can just easily give it away. Okay, so that's important too, to help play your inventory. Outside of that, there's some items like a screwdriver that you see. The screwdriver you have to be mindful of, because the game is kind of just built around one player. The screwdriver is important for some of your crafting. Although you get some more as the game goes on, you only get that one that you initially start with. So put that in your box though, so when somebody go to craft something, everybody get use of it. But if you carry it with you, you deny your friends the ability to use it. So your friends will have to go back and grab it themselves. As you see, they get the game. I've had 3 screwdrivers here, and if I go to my bag, I got 16, even though you can't see it. Okay, just sit in my inventory, like it does not do anything. Okay, so it makes no sense to kind of hoard it, so just put it in your inventory. But if you have it, some of the stuff that you need to build that's on your character, you can custom make. For example, the machete, you need to carry your machete around so you can make some arrows on the fly. You don't have to carry, you can always make it at the armory, but if you by yourself, just carry the machete, you can always craft it. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh, so one big thing. If you ever in the mindset of trying to find something that you picked up before, you can always go to the little library or logbook, and you can pick something like the Blood Moon, Blood Red Flowers, and even though you can't show it here, it will show you all where have you gotten it from and the most you've gotten it from. So from mine, it shows the. Which I'm moving my camera right quick so you can see. It says the Helmet of Discord, which is 5 of them I got from the mission. Then you got the Spiritual Course, I gave them 3. The Helmet of Discord, I think it gives you 5, so that's why it says 5 is the most. But Spiritual Course, I did find some in the mission, so I gave them 3. Okay, and that goes for just about everything you can ever pick up. But that's only if you pick it up in the field and not for somebody's chest. If you pick it up for somebody's chest, it doesn't show you where you got it from. Okay, sometimes it does show you when you go to your inventory. Like I said, the medical herb show you where you got it from. Okay. But I wouldn't rely on that too much because even though it says it's found in the camp, sometimes it doesn't say where exactly you have found it. Okay. Like I say, it's found the machete in the camp, but there's also a machete in the mission that you can find. Okay. So put that in mind. I think it's up here to show you. Oh, it shows one sort of machete from it. I picked it up from the camp, whereas my brother, he picked it up from the a mission. Okay. So put that in your mindset to always check here if you need to look for something important. If you cannot find a certain material, it's not because the material hasn't spawned yet. It's just maybe you haven't found the mission that can give it to you. Okay. For example, like the sheets of steel that I showed you guys earlier, which I think was Dear Corvair, up until that point, you don't see any mission. So you gotta do your missions to upgrade your steel, okay, to get some of your materials. I think that's pretty much what missions are for, just to give you the materials that you need. Outside of that, every 10 levels, you have to do a wave defense to progress your mission further, your base further. So, for example, from 1 to 10, you can upgrade your character anytime you want. Once you get 10, you're stuck. And then you have to complete the wave defense, which will allow you to continue on to levels from 10 to 20. Then once you hit 20, you gotta do another set of defenses. Okay, I would say once you do level 10, upgrade your camp to level 15 if you can. Then you spend the time upgrading your camp, prioritizing weapons, because this game has an easy combat system. It's really hard to really get killed by anything in this game. Like, it's really hard. Now, it's free stuff that you can get, but having more damage, because this game is considered everything about range is more important. Use that, and you kill everybody that you need to kill without having to worry about yourself. Okay, that's why I prefer my weapons being more important than my defense, because if I can kill an enemy from as far as my vision can see, I don't need to worry about worrying about my gears, my defense up as good. Unless you're using a melee build, which I wouldn't recommend this game because of the how the game considers aiming with your weapon. You aim, it's kind of where you're facing and doesn't have a little lock on. So if you're not careful with your aim, your melee hit, you take a lot of damage. So there's that. So it's just to be important. Okay. Which reminds me, I forgot to go and turn some of my I did some grinding from the mission from the other day. So one of the things I want to do is run over to my camp, go to other, check this to see if anything that I want that I personally need from out of here before I decide to press this button. Okay, I don't need anything from here. All I press is this button and it clears out everything into the base. Okay. So, but those are my top tips for this game. The last things I can give you guys is, because you have memorized the map somewhat, each area of the map has a different loot that does spawn towards northwest of this gap, where you see the exclamation point, maybe not. There's blood flowers to spawn in the area. Towards southwest, there's yellow flowers that does spawn. Towards the middle of the map, coal spawns. To the bottom right, there's flint that does spawn. Okay, they have houses as in the game that does give you loot. The one towards the top right gives you food, whereas the one on the bottom left gives you resources. So make sure you use to abuse that. Just be careful though, because the houses, they do have a lot of zombies. They can have up to maybe 20 zombies depending on the level that your character's at. You can't spawn inside of a house. And two, when you go to the Flint area, sometimes there's a turtle, which depending on your level, you can fight it or you cannot. Will chase you to the ends of Earth. So make sure you don't mess with the turtle, okay, unless you're ready to. You can always lose a turtle by running into a bunker and teleporting somewhere else. It'll de-aggro the turtle, okay. But put that in the mindset whenever you want to hunt these materials. Be careful where you're going and stuff like that, because he can kill you if you're not careful. And that's pretty much it. Make sure you try to go to all the vendors, or I'm gonna say vendors because I'm considering missions like vendors, and check and do the latest missions to make sure you are on point with all your missions. Because like I said earlier, the game doesn't have a direct flow of where missions are going. So one guy can have a mission that's level 10, another guy can have a mission level 5, another guy can have a level mission that's 15. Just trying to get all your the missions to your level. That way you stay up to date and you're not missing anything. Because you not keeping everybody up to date, you may be missing out some materials because another character has. So that's important too. But alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the tip video. Should be doing more soon. But